Your mind never stops. It races from thought to thought, worry to worry, scenario to scenario. You replay conversations from 5 years ago, rehearse arguments that may never happen, and analyze every possible outcome until you're paralyzed by possibilities. You think you're being thorough, logical, or prepared. But what if I told you that your overthinking has nothing to do with problem solving and everything to do with anxiety control? Freud discovered something disturbing about the psychology of overthinking. Your mind creates endless mental loops not to find solutions, but to avoid feeling powerless. Right now, your brain is probably spinning through multiple scenarios, analyzing this video, wondering if you're an overthinker, and already planning how you'll implement whatever you learn here. But here's the problem. The more you think about thinking, the deeper you fall into the very trap you're trying to escape. Your overthinking isn't helping you. It's paralyzing you. It's not preparing you for every possibility. It's preventing you from taking action on any possibility. You're not being smart by considering every angle. You're being scared of making the wrong choice. Your mind has become a prison of endless analysis, where thoughts circle like sharks, and you're drowning in your own mental ocean. Tell me in the comments, what situation have you been overthinking lately? And how long have you been stuck in that mental loop? I can see from your responses that you're trapped in endless cycles of analysis about decisions, relationships, and situations. But here's what Freud discovered about why your mind won't stop spinning. Overthinking is your brain's attempt to create certainty in an uncertain world. Your mind believes that if it can just think through every possible scenario, consider every potential outcome, and analyze every variable, it can guarantee a perfect result. But this is a psychological delusion. No amount of thinking can eliminate uncertainty, predict every outcome, or guarantee success. The more you try to think your way to certainty, the more uncertain you become, because thinking reveals more possibilities, not fewer. Each new thought opens 10 new questions. Each analysis creates 10 new concerns. Each scenario spawns 10 new worries. You're not moving toward clarity, you're moving toward chaos. Your mind has become a machine that generates problems faster than it can solve them. The overthinking that you think is protecting you from mistakes is actually the biggest mistake you're making. When did you start believing that perfect analysis could create perfect outcomes? Your stories reveal how the search for certainty creates more uncertainty. But Freud discovered something even more disturbing about overthinking. It's not really about the situation you're analyzing. It's about avoiding the emotions that taking action would create. You think you're stuck because you can't figure out the right answer, but you're actually stuck because you're afraid of how the wrong answer might make you feel. Overthinking is emotional avoidance disguised as intellectual preparation. When you endlessly analyze whether to leave that job, you're not really trying to find the perfect career move. You're avoiding the fear of financial insecurity. When you replay that conversation over and over, you're not really trying to understand what happened. You're avoiding the shame of potentially being wrong. When you obsess over every detail of a relationship, you're not really trying to improve communication. You're avoiding the vulnerability of being rejected. Your mind creates elaborate mental mazes to avoid walking through simple emotional doorways. The solution you're seeking through overthinking isn't logical, it's emotional. You want to find a way to take action without feeling fear, make decisions without risking failure, and live your life without experiencing discomfort. What emotion are you really trying to avoid by overthinking? I can see from your comments that you're recognizing overthinking as emotional avoidance. But here's what Freud discovered about the specific way overthinking becomes addictive. It creates the illusion of productivity while avoiding the discomfort of actual productivity. When you're overthinking, you feel busy, engaged, and mentally active. Your brain is working hard, generating thoughts, making connections, exploring possibilities. It feels like you're doing something important, something necessary, something valuable. But overthinking is mental masturbation. It feels good in the moment, but produces nothing useful. You're burning mental calories without moving toward any destination. You're creating the sensation of progress without making actual progress. This is why overthinking is so seductive. It satisfies your need to feel productive without requiring you to be vulnerable. You can think about starting that business for months without risking failure. You can analyze that relationship endlessly without risking rejection. You can consider every career option without risking the wrong choice. Overthinking lets you feel like you're moving forward while keeping you perfectly still. How has overthinking become your substitute for action? Your insights about overthinking as fake productivity reveal deep awareness, but Freud discovered another crucial aspect. Overthinking is actually a form of self-torture disguised as self-help. You think you're being responsible, thorough, or careful, but you're actually punishing yourself with endless mental interrogation. Your mind has become both the prosecutor and the judge in a court case that never ends. You cross-examine every decision, question every motive, and find yourself guilty of crimes you haven't committed yet. The mental energy you're spending on overthinking could power a small city, but instead, it's being used to create elaborate scenarios of everything that could go wrong. You're not preparing for problems. You're creating problems that don't exist. You're not solving puzzles. You're generating more pieces to make the puzzle unsolvable. Your overthinking has become a form of psychological self-harm where you torture yourself with possibilities, probabilities, and worst-case scenarios. The person who's hurting you the most isn't some external enemy. It's the voice in your own head that won't stop talking. Why do you think you deserve to be mentally tortured by your own thoughts? I can see from your responses that you're recognizing overthinking as self-torture. But here's what Freud discovered about breaking the overthinking cycle. You have to learn the difference between thinking and ruminating. Thinking is purposeful, mental activity that moves you towards solutions, decisions, or understanding. Ruminating is repetitive mental activity that moves you in circles without progress. Thinking has a beginning, middle, and end. Ruminating is an endless loop with no resolution. Thinking generates new insights, perspectives, or possibilities. Ruminating recycles the same thoughts in slightly different combinations. When you're thinking, you feel engaged and energized. When you're ruminating, you feel drained and frustrated. The problem isn't that you think too much. It's that you ruminate too much while calling it thinking. Real thinking requires you to set boundaries around mental exploration. Give yourself a specific time limit, define what outcome you're seeking, and commit to taking action based on your analysis. But rumination has no boundaries, no goals, and no commitment to action. It's thinking without purpose, analysis without conclusion, and preparation without execution. What would change if you gave yourself permission to think less, but act more? Your recognition of the difference between thinking and ruminating shows growing awareness. But here's what Freud discovered about the ultimate solution to overthinking. You have to develop comfort with uncertainty instead of trying to eliminate it. Your overthinking is fundamentally an attempt to control outcomes that can't be controlled, predict futures that can't be predicted, and guarantee results that can't be guaranteed. But uncertainty isn't a problem to be solved. It's a reality, to be accepted. The most successful, happy, and fulfilled people aren't those who eliminate uncertainty. They're those who take action despite uncertainty. They make decisions with incomplete information, start projects without knowing how they'll end, and build relationships without guarantees of permanence. They understand that overthinking doesn't reduce risk, it just reduces life. Every moment you spend overthinking is a moment you're not spending living. Every scenario you analyze is time you're not spending creating the reality you actually want. The goal isn't to think your way to the perfect life, it's to live your way to a meaningful life. Perfect decisions don't exist, but good decisions followed by corrective action can create amazing outcomes. Your overthinking is keeping you safe from the imaginary dangers in your head while exposing you to the real danger of an unlived life. What would you do today if you trusted yourself to handle whatever consequences emerge? As we conclude this deep exploration into the psychology of overthinking, I want you to understand something profound that Freud discovered. Your overthinking isn't a character flaw. It's a coping mechanism that's outlived its usefulness. At some point in your life, thinking things through exhaustively helped you navigate a difficult situation, avoid a painful outcome, or feel more in control. But what once served you is now enslaving you. The mental habit that protected you is now paralyzing you. Breaking free from overthinking doesn't require you to stop thinking. It requires you to start trusting. Trusting your ability to handle whatever happens. Trusting your capacity to learn from mistakes. Trusting your resilience to bounce back from failures. And trusting your wisdom to make good decisions with imperfect information. The opposite of overthinking isn't underthinking, it's right thinking. Thinking enough to be informed, but not so much that you're paralyzed. Analyzing enough to be prepared, but not so much that you're petrified. Planning enough to be intentional, but not so much that you never begin. Your mind is a powerful tool, but like any tool, it can be overused to the point of causing damage. The hammer that builds houses can also smash fingers if used carelessly. Your analytical mind that could solve problems is smashing your ability to live fully when used excessively. The goal isn't to silence your mind, it's to partner with it, to use its analytical power when helpful and override its tendency to spiral when destructive. Your thoughts are not facts, your worries are not predictions, and your mental scenarios are not realities. They're just mental events passing through your consciousness like clouds passing through the sky. You don't have to climb onto every cloud and ride it to its destination. You can observe them, acknowledge them, and let them pass while you remain grounded in action and presence. The question that will determine your freedom from mental prison is this: will you continue to be a victim of your thoughts, or will you become the master of your mind?